Thank you for your patience. Let's call the regular meeting for the Gary Community School Board, Wednesday, January 8th, 2025 to order. Let's start with roll call to confirm that we have quorum.
Mr. Johnson? Here. Mr. Suggs?
Present.
Dr. Woods?
Present.
Dr. McLeod? And I am here as well, all present, 5-0.
With 5 members attending and 0 missing, we have quorum in a legal meeting. Let's start again with the Pledge of Allegiance for our regular meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item number 2 on our agenda, approval for the agenda for our meeting tonight. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded. Discussion on the agenda? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 2.2, we have election of the Vice President and Secretary for the Gary Community School Board. I'll accept nomination for the role of Vice President.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please.
I nominate Glenn Johnson.
I second that myself.
Just close the nomination.
Any other nominations for Vice President? If not, we will close. Now we'll take
That's for a motion. That's for a motion.
motion to close.
No, that's for a motion.
May I have a motion to approve the nomination of Glenn Johnson as Vice President, Gary Community School Board?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing no discussion, may we have roll call for approval?
Mr. Suggs?
Yes.
Dr. Woods?
Yes.
Dr. McLeod?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes, sir.
And I vote yes. The vote is 4 yes and 1 abstention.
With a vote of 4 yes and 1 abstention. Congratulations. At this point, I'll entertain a motion for the role of Secretary for the Gary Community School Board.
Mr. Chair, I nominate Attorney Chantre Irvin for Secretary.
May I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded, voting for Attorney Chantre Irving for Secretary. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, may I have a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nominations have been closed. Have been roll call for election.
Yes.
Okay, nominations have been closed. May I have a motion to approve the nomination of Attorney Irving?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. May I have roll call to approve?
Mr. Suggs?
Yes.
Dr. Woods?
Yes.
Dr. McLeod?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
And I vote yes. 5-0, motion carries.
I agree. Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Irving. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Let's move on to item number 3 on our agenda. Gary Ready Snapshots. Ms. Washington. Whittington.
That's my sister.
Good evening, Mr. Suggs, members of the board, Dr. Stokes, and this amazing community. I am Chelsea Whittington, Chief of Public and Community Relations. And today, it's time for Gary Snapshots. And traditionally, we know that Gary Snapshots is the portion of the agenda where we discuss things that are taking place across the district, great news and opportunities, and also things that impact the district, which is what we will be covering today from an informational standpoint. When I was asked to deliver this information, I had to do soul searching and to recognize that I have a variety of proverbial dogs in the fight, if you will, being a graduate of Gary Schools, being a citizen of Gary, being a proud resident of Gary, and being an advocate for children. Tonight I speak as chief, sharing information, and will be very careful not to insert any of my own personal feelings. Tonight we will discuss proposed Bill 1136. On your screen are the individuals who have authored or co-authored this bill. They include Representative Jake Teschka, who is the author, and co-authored by Representative Jeffrey Thompson and Representative Timothy O'Brien. And I will indicate also that Representative Thompson is a member of the DUAP board. In essence, I am quoting from an article that was posted by WFYI.org. These are some excerpts that share an overview of the bill, and I will read verbatim. Authored by Representative Jake Teschka of North Liberty, House Bill 1136 proposes converting 50 schools in the Indianapolis Public Schools District into charter schools due to enrollment shifts. 4 other districts would also be disbanded under this legislation. They include the Gary Community School Corporation, Tri-Township Consolidated Schools in LaPorte County, Union Schools southeast of Muncie, and Cannleton City Schools near the Kentucky border in Perry County. The bill states that if more than 50% of students residing within a school district's boundaries were enrolled in schools not operated by the district as of October 1st of the previous year, the district must be dissolved. School districts' average daily enrollment is determined on that date annually. The bill, if approved, would require 68 public schools across the 5 districts to convert to charter schools by July 1, 2028, according to the bill's fiscal impact report. Schools with the lowest scores on state assessments, such as iLearn and iRead3, would transition first, unquote. I have also included a caption where it just shows the various schools that are impacted along with said enrollment numbers. Cannleton City Schools, Gary Schools, IPS, Tri-Township Schools, and the Union School Corporation, with special attention being paid to the Gary Community School Corporation. This chart indicates that we currently have 11,764 students residing in the school corporation, of which 4,144 are enrolled in our school corporation. Students enrolled at the schools other than the corporation is at 65%, and corporation schools that would become charter, that number would be 9, according to this chart, again, posted by WFYI.org. We specifically want to share with you, board and community, the scenario for the Gary Community School Corporation. As many of you well know, There were 7 years of state takeover of the Gary schools from 2017 to 2024. During that 7-year period, there was a mass exodus of thousands of students for a variety of reasons, but a great indicator, obviously, was the state takeover itself and the faith whether parents had in the district as to whether it would continue and what state takeover looked like, and just their unease of being a part of the district. Since being released from state takeover, July 1 of 2024, there's been the formulation of our school board, which is before us today, the appointment of our superintendent, Dr. Yvonne Stokes, and from there, the development of the chief leadership team, who are also in attendance today. In addition to those action items, there have been and continues to be robust efforts to recruit students back to the district, to steady our attendance, and the fall count, there was a 214 student increase. And as my colleague Linda indicated in her financial report, that since that count, an additional 153 scholars have been added to that count that we anticipate will continue to grow with the upcoming count for the spring. And it is also an upward trend that we are recognizing at the district overall through our efforts. We have a continued focus on financial stability, academics, professional development and facilities, maintenance, and a focus on increased parental and community engagement. I'm sharing these bullets with you basically to begin to convey the messaging that we're 6 months out of state takeover. The actions of the district are being taken to, again, recruit students back, and now this legislation seeks to stop us in our tracks, if you will. Upon the release of the bill, our superintendent released an official statement that we would like to share with you this evening, and this report will also be available on our website and all of our social media platforms. Quote, "It has only been 6 months since the Gary Community School Corporation was released from a 7-year state takeover. During this 7-year time period, there was an exodus of thousands of students from the district. Since local control was reinstated, we have been laser focused on increasing enrollment and maintaining financial solvency while enhancing curriculum and improving the overall educational experience for children. The enrollment count, upon which Bill 1136 proposes to dissolve our district, only reflects 2 months of attendance recorded at the start of the 24-25 school year. This count does reflect an increase of more than 200 students, which is an upward trend that we are working to continue. Our leadership team will work with staff, parents, families, scholars, and stakeholders to educate the school community about this proposed legislation and then take necessary actions on what's best for children," unquote, Dr. Yvonne Stokes. And so what does that mean? That means that we have, in our speak, an opportunity to come together as a community to voice our opinions, concerns, and action items for this proposed legislation. I have been in contact with State Representative Dr. Vernon G. Smith, and he is happy to answer questions about the bill and ask that I share the phone number 317-232-9731. Again, I'll repeat that, 317-232-9731. In addition, here at the district, we will use all of our vehicles to assist in sharing this information, including our social media platforms, WGDE, WSTGV television. We will put together community forums and conversations And we, of course, have our email box, info@garyschools.org, where individuals can submit questions and ask for more information. And all of this information will live on our website at garyschools.org. Now, the most important part of our presentation tonight is if you would like to voice your concerns regarding House Bill 1136, we ask that you reach out to the author, Jake Teshka, at 800-382-9841. Again, that's 1-800-382-9841. Tonight's presentation was informational to start the conversation and to make our board and community aware of what has transpired. And I'd like to emphasize once again that this is proposed legislation. There has not been an action, so that no one gets confused that this is happening. This is proposed legislation. And please be sure to follow our channels to find out the next steps that we will take as a community. As I close, I'd just like to call your attention to a couple of highlights in the district. We want to remind you that on Saturday, January 11, elementary basketball will resume in the district at Westside Leadership Academy at 10:30 a.m. We ask you to pack your bags and get ready to cheer for our elementary students and just spend the day at Westside from 10:30 a.m. on. We also want to remind you that on Sunday, January 19th, is the Martin Luther King Ecumenical Service at New Mount Moriah Missionary Baptist Church. Our students will be participating. It's at 4 o'clock p.m. The junior ROTC will post the colors. We will have a soloist as well as praise dance performance, and our own Dr. Yvonne Stokes will bring words of greetings. We also are crossing our fingers that some of our students are winners of the MLK essay contest, but we will find out on that day. This concludes my report. I thank you for your time, and I will return this back to Mr. Suggs.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Mr. Chair, may I ask Mrs.
Yes,
Whittington
please.
a question? The scenarios that you had up there
Yes,
and the superintendent's quote,
yes,
can you print that
yes, yes.
so that we all can speak with one voice, just in case some of us don't have access to Facebook, or can you print that?
I'll have a
maybe?
copy prior to the conclusion of this meeting.
Thank you.
And is this for the board or
I
staff?
think everyone should have a copy, if possible.
Say less, as the young people say.
You can send it to me.
Thank you.
Dr. Nichols, I'll get that printed.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you again. Moving to item number 4, public comments. I'd like to ask Vice President Johnson to read the public comment information, please.
Pursuant to Indiana Code 5-14-1.5-5.3, the Gary Community School Corporation Board of Trustees welcomes comments from the community. As a result, the agenda for each regular meeting provides time for public expression. This period of public expression is limited to 3 minutes per individual and 30 minutes total discussion of items on the agenda or to express concerns relative to the operation of the school, city, school board actions, and other actions of general educational interest. If there are many people wishing to address the board, we may limit the amount of time a person may speak. Comments shall be directed to the board, not to individual board members. Statements shall not be abusive or argumentative. Persons making comments shall not debate statements made by other persons. Shall not be permissible to orally present or discuss complaints against individual employees of the Gary Community School Corporation at any board or school trustees meetings. Issues relating to personnel, individual circumstances, or an individual school will be referred to the building principal or an appropriate administrator in an attempt to resolve the issue prior to an appeal before the board. Speakers cannot transfer their remaining time to another person. The board president will enforce these rules and may take actions necessary to maintain order at the meeting. Such actions may include, but are not limited to, interrupting the speaker if the statement is too lengthy, unduly repetitive, or otherwise violates the rules, the president may terminate the address of any speaker who violates these rules, and limit the total amount of time devoted to public comments if there's a large number of people wishing to address the board, or if there's a large agenda of other business before the board. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now ask Carolyn McCready.
Good evening, Board and Superintendent Stokes and everyone that's here. It's really good to see so many people here because we have a fight on our hands, and I think we know that. You know, I understand that Heritage Foundation is behind this legislation, and it's not just in Indiana, it's all across the country. It's part of the MAGA privatization efforts that are being led at the very top of our government. I say that in quotes today. And it's just the opening shot here in Indiana. And so we have a special obligation to fight back and stop this. I want to say that I think the report that Chelsea gave was excellent, but it did not include the fact that we are the poster child for charter schools. We have more charter schools than anybody in the state and probably in the Midwest, which has drained our public school budget. And the idea behind charter schools was to provide parental choice. But it's ironic that now they want to dissolve public schools so there will be no parental choice. Everyone will have to go to a charter school. This board will not sit here. We will be run again as in a takeover by people that don't live here, by people that are doing this so they can make money and raid our treasury. This is what it's all about. I'm sure everyone understands this. But if we don't stand up as a community, and it looks like that's what we're going to do, from what I heard of the report, we are going to have a full-fledged effort. We're going to go on buses downstate. We're going to let them know that we're not having this, because we can't. We can't let them continue to do this to us. We are not a failing district. That's what one of these people, one of these sponsors of the bill said, that we are, that they have targeted failing districts. We haven't failed. We have struggled against charter schools and being demonized and being stripped of our ability to really do what we need to do in the city. So I think we have a valiant struggle ahead of us, and I'm so glad to know that our teachers union is going to be helping us lead this fight. But it's going to take more than just individuals with name recognition. It's going to take everyone who's sitting in this room tonight to call Mr. Teshka and tell him, no, you have no right. Thank you very much.
Jackie Lee.
She left.
Mr. Bugs.
Good evening, Board, Dr. Stokes, and Happy New Year to you. I have a lot to say in these 3 minutes. First of all, Ms. Whittington said one of the determining factors was low performance. I want the public to know, and everybody that's here to know, that when NGT came in 2017, all of the graduation rates in Ivy schools were commensurate with the state standards. Within 1 year of NGT, they went back and continue to decline. So it's like it's an orchestrated process, because we were above and equal to the state standards. The other thing I want to say very briefly is that when Dr. McNaughton was here, all these artworks, they're supposed to be over Chicago since 2015. And we've been trying to find out where they are, what's the name of the place, phone number, and nothing has happened. So I'd like the board to see if they can look into that. The other thing is I was chosen as an advocate, and I met with Dr. Wright about a student that was expelled. And I have a lot of questions because due process, whether it's a school or criminal matter, a student has a right to due process. Now, I understand that this board voted not to hear appeals. Then what they expelled this young man from was a law that no one can tell you where it came from. It's not in the code of conduct. It's not in the Indiana code. And that it is EC 48915, parenthesis A and parenthesis 2. It doesn't say what it is, where it came from. But that's what they used to expel the young man. So due process was not done. Then I understand that he was expelled for the end of this year. Well, this is another year. So he should be able to come back and re-enroll. There's a process for that in here and also in the code of conduct. So we have a problem, a serious problem. And I want to say before I leave that I stand against House Bill 1136 because it's just an orchestrated takeover of this district. And I don't know why you all haven't said anything, because it's going to replace you all with a 7-member board, and the governor's going to have a super majority. He's going to appoint 4, and the charter schools are going to appoint 1. The Gary Mayor appoint 1, and the president of the council appoint 1. So we need to look into that. And I would like to know, when I meet with the board about these discrepancies and why you all voted not to hear a case on appeal on expulsion. These are people's lives that we messed up. So I'd like to have the record of that meeting and when it took place. Thank you.
Bruce Curry.
First of all, thank you for to be able to talk tonight to the board, to the administration, students, family, and everyone. I want to start by saying HB 1136 must be stopped and must not happen. I am the lead for education for the NAACP. I just got elected as the second vice president of the NAACP. I reached out to this gentleman yesterday by the name of Jake Tukoski. We talked to his assistant. And this issue for me and the NAACP is an equity issue. And what do I mean by equity? If you look at Gary, Indiana, 92% of the population is minority. And I'm maybe a little off with the census, but I can get that fact number. I appreciate the presentation from Chelsea Whittington, because I was going to do the same presentation with one sheet of paper, because I researched it for about the last 2 weeks. And the data, I got data, but I don't have to repeat what you did. I called the national president in NAACP. Our focus is public schools. We don't really like to have in a community charter. So our focus across the country is public schools. The state president, I called them. Same mission. I called Indianapolis president. We and her talking. We're going to be talking strategically Friday. It's an issue. If I have to bring in to Gary, Ben Crump, I don't know anybody know him, but he likes things like this. And it's not right. But we got good lawyers. We got good lawyers, even on our board here, that can deal with this. So what I'm saying right now with Indianapolis and those cities, Indianapolis has a lot of minorities too. So we have to stop this. I talked to also this guy from North Liberty. His school, they have no charters. It's a public school. They're number one with their census told me 2010, 1,896 people is his community. They should be. Everybody's together as a family. Garrett school system's that big. He's saying he's got a great school, but it's just that population is very low. It's a rural school district. It's not an urban district. So the issue right now is equity, and students should have choices. Those 9 in Little Rock, I've been to Central. They fought for this a long time ago in the 50s. It's here again. So we're here to fight. I'm going to give you my number, 908-328-4908. Any issue like this, NAACP wants to be at the front helping the Garrett school system. Thank you. Oh, I went a little bit over my time. I'm sorry.
Tracy Coleman.
Good evening. I'm adamantly against HB 1136, and I'm going to remind this board that we are 50 years past Brown versus the Board of Education. When I stood before this board and I said, 1, get your superintendent in place, please, by January 1st, 2024. Please do the forensic audit before MGT walked out of here. I got crickets. And the reason why we try to push and get movement instead of pushback, because we know the kind of supermajority we're dealing with. While we're here sleeping and while we're here eating, we have Representative Thompson sitting at the table congratulating us, and at the same time drafting legislation to put 700 employees of the Garrett Community School Corporation in the unemployment line. Eventually, we have to know that this is a fight we cannot lose. And every time they hear people say, oh, we didn't get into this problem overnight, it's going to take us time to solve it. Guess what the Republicans say? Don't worry about it. We'll do it. We'll hire our private charter schools. We'll hire people. We got a virtual charter school that was indicted for $44 million. So we have a supermajority that can't police their own charter schools, but they want to come to Gary and take over. And while we're here defending ourselves, we don't have a legislative agenda, they're laughing at us. And that's what makes it so frustrating. Because eventually we have to work together. Eventually we got to know it isn't rocket science to help our children. Reading, you gotta read, you gotta write, you gotta sit still. I'm a product of the Garrett Community School Corporation. We treated our teachers like rock stars because they came from the South. They told us they didn't have anything. They were sharecroppers. They couldn't go to school. They were denied opportunities. So it wasn't that we just went to school. I remember sitting in the cafeteria with Mr. Jones telling us, I grew up in a shotgun house. You all have to make it better for the next generation. They gave us the memo. You got to work twice as hard. You got to be twice as smart. But then now I have a son. I got to give that same memo, but say you have to be 10 times as smart. Work 10 times as hard because you don't have affirmative action. You don't have diversity and equity and inclusion. You don't have quotas. You don't have any of that. So it's up to us. We got to stop fighting each other. We got to find a way to work together. We have to find a way to write our own legislative agenda. Because what's happening, if our leaders are celebrities and we don't hear from the mayor, the Republicans are writing an agenda which is going to wipe us out. So please, everybody call the 700 teachers, alumni, all the people who are thankful for their education. Please get involved in this fight because our children need us.
Natalie Ammons.
I want to say good evening to everyone and Happy New Year. I'm thankful to God to be here. Although I didn't think I'd be back on the battlefield this quickly and this soon, here I am and I'm ready to fight. I do want to say this. When I was on the radio this morning, my expectation when I hit the parking lot is that the parking lot was going to be so full that there wasn't going to be any place to park. And then when I stepped up in the room, I thought people would be falling from the ceiling trying to find seats. I am so surprised to see something different. This is a battle. It's a battlefield, and we have to get to work. HB 1136 is a plan for privatizing education. When you privatize, you transfer a business or industry or service from public to private ownership and control. In a system supposedly built on parent choice, charter schools find ways to choose their students, sometimes excluding hard-to-serve children. Charter schools are no excuses schools who impose strict discipline by suspending and expelling students. In order to achieve higher test scores, the baseline is based upon teaching to the test on a narrow curriculum to and including limiting and neglecting the arts. It's a punitive approach that should be guided by core values of freedom, efficiency, equity, and community interest. But instead, Republicans are hell-bent on controlling and taking away our freedoms. How long do we continue to make our schools sacrificial examples of what Republicans want to do as they disregard very citizens? When is enough enough? I'm tired. These are our babies who we should be fighting for. It took us 7 years, as has been said tonight, to emerge from a state-controlled takeover that was costly to our children's future. And now as we progress, here they come again. Again, enough is enough. We have a legacy that mandates that we take care of our children. Let's be about the business of fighting House Bill 1136.
L. Tyndall.
Good evening, everyone. And to all of you, I extend this greeting. May you have a God-pleasing, God-praising 2025. My stand is no, loud and clear, to House Bill 1136. No way should that be put in place. We have to speak up, speak out, stand up, and pray up for our children at all times, in all situations, and we have to keep in touch with what's going on and being proposed by legislators in our great state of Indiana. We are called to do what is best to ensure the best for all students in this Gary school system. And I want to say to this board, please start doing what's best for all students in our school system. The behavioral care clinics in schools should have been placed long before now. Edgewater's bid for those services should never have been submitted nor accepted. As of 12/11/24, yearbooks of June 2024 were not issued. Principal Scott stated to me that the books would be due in December. Have they been? It's January 8th, 2025. When will graduates get their yearbooks? When will those in charge treat our graduates with respect? When will this administration do what is necessary to promote our children so that they can be ready and prepared for opportunities on a global level? What about the IEPs? What about the parental disrespect that's being served freely without responsibility. Follow the proper procedures. Don't get distracted by this bill that's proposed. The work still needs to be done that is supposed to be done for our children. Why does one of our team members head more than 2 departments? Dr. Wright, what's the procedure for students, suspensions, and expulsions? I want this board to be known to stop the practice of kicking out, pushing out, flunking out, demeaning, and undereducating our children. Thank you very much.
Dr. Michaela Englenberg.
Good evening. Dr. Michaela Spangenberg, Gary Education Coalition. House Bill 1136 isn't going to turn our corporation into a charter. It's going to dissolve our corporation. The 7-member board oversees the dissolving of the corporation that is supposed to take place by 2028, which aligns, of course, with when the new diploma is going to be implemented. That's not a coincidence. And we have to reorient to the idea that it's not going to stop here. It starts here, it's not going to stop here. Maybe this year the language will limit itself to these dates, but once they get this language into law, next go around, they can very easily just shift some dates because they already got approval of the bulk of everything. They won't need to wait, and we may even see them attempt to do that this year. So this is going to be a running issue whereby all public education, district by district in this state is going to be eliminated, and then in this nation, because as much as when we turn on the news and we see Trump and he looks real scary and we think that must be the guy doing that to us, no, that's the guy that's being run by the people downstate. Not all of them, some of them. Is it a party issue? Sure. Is it also an issue about authoritarianism, an issue about removing your voting rights, an issue about some people thinking that as long as some people make it through, it's good enough? It's also that. And I liked what a previous commentator said about the message that we received and that we transmit and that we need to embody about trying to lift up those who come down the road. But that has to start now. We can't be investing in these quietist, wait and see, let somebody else do it for us. Let's not empower people too much sentiments. We have to come together now. We have to activate people now. The parking lot is not full because we tell people over and over again to stay home. Because unfortunately, there are some people that look at public action, that look at mass action and say, well, gee, if they're going to come for these bad people, what if one day they come for me? At the end of the day, you have to recognize that the only way through is together, and together with the people that we are supposed to be protecting, representing, and uplifting so that they can represent themselves in this process. So, see you downstate next week.
Labrada Dunham.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing us to speak. I too am also against Bill 1136. We all remember that Frayville High School was closed because of the non-degree teachers, and the colleges did not recognize Frayville School as an accredited high school because of the non-degree teachers that were teaching. At this particular moment, we also know that many of the parents at the charter schools, including Theo Bowman, are rushing to pull their children out and get them in a school that has teachers with degrees, my niece included. She has now left Theo Bowman. And most of us remember that in 2018, when Tony Walker sat on the Indiana State School Board, we remember them talking then about the urban schools having non-degree teachers. Many of us sat in that meeting when Mr. Thompson slammed that gavel and said that Gary's property taxes for their school system would also contribute to the charter schools. I was at Aspire when it let out one day. There were so many children in the street you had to stop your car. There are charter schools that I feel the Gary Public Schools should try to partner with ahead of time, as oftentimes Beckman partnered with Roosevelt to make sure that those students have an easy transition and try to bring them into the public schools. I think that we as a board should work harder, that our board should work harder to try to pull the children from the charter schools back into the public schools. Many parents are doing this on their own, but we need to try to keep this because it has already been stated that the urban schools are the schools that are going to have, and that was in 2018, non-degree teachers. Do we want our children to not be accepted by a college because they attended a high school that had non-degree teachers and was considered not accredited? I really don't have too much more to say than that, except I hope that our board really is sincere about our students. I'm okay with Edgewater. Since the 1980s, they work with the school system, and I've seen some of the students they work with. Maybe the program could be changed, but I'm okay with Edgewater working with our students. Thank you.
I'd like to take the moment to thank the community for their comments. We're moving on to item number 5, consent agenda on our agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve consent agenda items 5.1 through 5.5.
There's a motion on the floor. May I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and properly second. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, may I have roll call for approval, please?
Yes. Dr. Woods,
Yes.
Dr. McLeod,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Suggs,
Yes.
vote is 5-0.
With a vote of 5-0, the motion carries. Consent agenda has been approved. I'd like to move to action item number 6.1. Dr. Stokes, please.
Yes.
Thank you. Crystal, if you can put up the 2000 series. If you recall, at our last board meeting, we introduced the 2000 series, which deals with program templates for our board policies. At this time, we want to present these policies. There are many of them, as you see. I can answer a question about any particular policy if you have one. I do want to, at this time, as I see it's appropriate, is to only emphasize right now policy 2105, which is about the mission of the corporation. The mission of Gary Community School Corporation is to provide an appropriate educational program and learning environment which will effectively meet the educational needs of its students and citizens. And we want to make sure that we provide information that is significant, durable, and transferable in terms of the skill sets that our students and scholars are required to have as they move forward. At such a time as this, we want to remind the board, our staff, and our communities that it is our goal and our mission to make sure that we do what's best for our children, and we will continue to show up and show out positively on their behalf. With that, unless the board has another 2000 program template that you would like me to discuss, I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Suggs.
Thank you, Dr. Stokes. Now we'll move to items 6.2 through 6.8. I'm sorry, 6.9. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve items 6.2 through 6.9 under action items.
Thank you. So motion on the floor. May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, may we have roll call for approval, please?
Yes, Dr. McLeod,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Dr. Woods,
Yes.
Mr. Suggs,
Yes.
and I vote yes. The vote is 5-0.
With a vote of 5-0, the motion carries. At this point, I'd like to go back to item 6.1 for approval of the 2000 series. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, may we have roll call for approval, please?
Yes, Dr. Woods,
Yes.
Mr. Suggs,
Yes.
Dr. McLeod,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
All right, and I vote yes. The vote is 5-0.
With a vote of 5-0, the motion carries. We will move on to item number 7, information items. Mr. Johnson, will you lead this discussion, please?
Thank you. As everyone knows, or you may not know, the Gary Community School Board has 3 library board appointments. And at this time, we are requesting letters of interest from individuals who would like to serve on the Gary Library Board. That window will be open for 30 days, and if you're interested, please forward a letter of interest, including a cover letter and a resume, to Ms. Irma Patton. And once that 30-day window is closed, then we will review those candidates who are interested and then make an appointment to the library board. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Board members, any questions? Let's move on to item 8. Administrative report, Dr. Stokes, please.
Thank you. I'm going to go up to the podium.
If you will. Thank you, Crystal. It's always our goal to be as transparent as we can, so I want to share some information with the community. This is not information that I would say is glowing, but we would like to always be factual and share information. So I'm going to read for you verbatim an Indiana code that deals with what we call a funding floor, and then I'll explain the funding floor to you in just a moment. But pursuant to Indiana Code 20-28-9-27, school corporations that received an increased tuition support from one fiscal year to the next are required to spend an amount for full-time teachers' salaries during the state fiscal year that was not less than the funding floor money, but by law, that money is supposed to come out of the education fund. Instead, as Mrs. Zaborowski shared earlier, about $2 million of the dollars came out of either ESSER or Title I. But because the law is clear, $2 million should come out of the education fund. So because it did, we are required by law to have this meeting, to share this information, and to put this notice, which will appear, and it has to be within 30 days, no quicker than that. It will be on our website tomorrow. We have to put this notice on our website so that you can see that we miss this requirement. Now, with that being said, I am a leader who likes to do what's right. We have looked at our finances and we looked at if we miss any amount that would be owed to the teachers, and so that's just something we will work with our union association on. But I do want you to know that they did get money. Our teachers did get money. It just did not come out of the education fund. Some came out of answer, some came out of tuition. Title I, out of Title I. So we will have this information out on the website so that you can look at it. You can go to the website tomorrow, Chelsea, probably around noon, and you can actually click on the links and get more information about what the funding for is. And we even have some information that has frequently asked questions. So if you have more questions or concerns, we're happy to share. But by law, we're required to share what I just shared. So I want you to know our teachers were not left in a hole, if you will, with regards to salary. This district did not take the money out of the right funding source, which was the education fund. And this was last year, as you know, was the state takeover at that time. With that being said, thank you so much for allowing me to share, and I'll turn it back over to Mr. Suggs.
Thank you, Superintendent Stokes. At this point, let's move on to item number 9, board member communication and individual opportunity to share. Board members, I'd like to open the floor for you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you all for coming out, and thank you all for voicing your comments on the House bill. I too stand in opposition of that, and whatever we have to do, whatever I have to do, I can't speak for everyone, but sometimes I will. We will definitely fight against this. Thank you, Superintendent Stokes, for your leadership in terms of your quote, your statement. And Chelsea has made those copies. They're over on the table, so you can pick up as you leave, so that we can all speak with one voice, so that we'll know what the leadership and what the superintendent is saying, and make sure we have all the exact information. Thank you to those parents who have brought their children back to the Garrett Community School Corporation. We've had an increase of 200 plus. Oh, my addition is wrong. Almost 400 students have come back to the Garrett Community School Corporation that deserve. We have a lot of great opportunities here. In fact, some of the students from other schools come and use our gym or use our field because they don't have it. So they might as well just bring their children back to the Garrett Community School Corporation. Amen? All right. So we're going to speak that into existence while they're sending their children over here. Just bring them back. So thank you for the team that's working. I heard that you all have been out in the street, knocking on doors and doing whatever you have to do. So as parents and as communities, let's continue to do that, because that increases our revenue, but more importantly, our students are being taught by qualified, teachers and certified. That's what I'm looking for, certified teachers. Last but not least, I know that there have been a few of our district teachers and other members who have passed this year. So let's keep that family in prayer, such as Charlotte Wright, who was a long time teacher here in the district, and I just learned of Benita Richardson, who was a teacher here. I believe she taught science or biology, with math. Yeah, let's keep her in prayer. So thank you, Dr. Stokes, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to state for the community, House Bill 1136 is something that we all are looking at very seriously. Actually, this past Saturday, I met with some local school board members from other districts locally. This coming Saturday, I'll actually be in a report meeting with school board members from Lake Porter and LaPorte County. And I also had a phone call with some school board members down as far as Kentucky, Indiana-Kentucky state line, Fort Wayne, West Lafayette. And so this is something that is concerning board members all across the state. And we are working to come up with a response. And so you're going to see a concerted response from school boards. And so just know that it is in the works. It is something that I had previously spoken with Mr. Suggs and Dr. Stokes about. And so we are not taking this lightly, and we are definitely on top of it.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any other comments? Any other comments? I'd like to. Thank you. I'd like to do a couple things. First of all, I want to take a moment to recognize a donation that we received from the Westside Alumni Association. And I think there's a Mr. Junkin in the room. I want to thank you for the donation, and we appreciate your support of our students in our school. Thank you for being here. I'd like to also concur with my colleagues who have mentioned SB House Bill 1136, and want to make sure that our community knows that we understand the issues, and we are making a collective effort to have discussion so that we will represent our school and we will be successful. I'm so happy with the positive trend that we're seeing of students returning. I'm pleased with the leadership that Dr. Stokes and the staff and the leadership that she's showing, and we are bringing people back. And I'm looking forward for the opportunity for us to bring our schools to those numbers that we saw in 2014 and 2015 when we had representation of over 7,000 students. So I'm encouraged. I know we have what it takes. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for talking to your family, your neighbors, your church, and make sure that we're all on the same page and moving in the same direction. And if you need me, call me. If you just want to talk, let's talk. I want to hear what everyone has to say. As I always say, feedback is a gift. So if you want to share, please feel free to share with me. Thank you for your time. At this point, I'd like to move on to item number 10, the superintendent report. Dr. Stokes.
Thank you so much. Crystal, if you can jump to, thank you, our matters of corporation interest and go down to the next slide. I do want to have some of my colleagues share some important information as it lies in their wheelhouses. So we will have Dr. Treadwell, our Chief Academic Officer, who's going to come up and share some important information about reading.
Good evening, Board, Dr. Stokes, and members of the community. It is a pleasure to talk about one of our upcoming assessments that our second and third grade students will be taking in March. And it is important because it is an assessment that determines if they are retained in the third grade. And so to prevent that and to support our parents, we are inviting every second grade and every third grade parent to come to each of their elementary schools. We have 2 times, January 16th 9 a.m. and 3:45 p.m. So that they can come and learn about the assessment, what the assessment entails, how to support their students at home, and also learn what we're doing at the schoolhouse to support their students. We don't want any student to fail. So we are inviting our parents to come in here, ask questions, come and learn about this. This is a new state requirement as of the 24-25 school year. And so we want to make sure that they are fully informed about what they can do and what we are doing to ensure that every scholar in our building is successful on the assessment, which is March the 3rd to the 14th. And so that's how what is happening on the 16th.
Thank you so much for your leadership. And as you just shared, parents, it's very important to us that our scholars not only know how to read, but know how to comprehend, and we will share information regarding both sessions. Thank you, Crystal. If you can go to the next slide, then I want to have our wonderful Chelsea share with us information about an opportunity for families in a survey.
Thank you, Dr. Stokes. We love opportunities. I'd just like to add with you, Dr. Treadwell, the request has been made also for our face liaisons to broadcast at least one of those sessions live at the buildings. We recognize parents' work. We love our parents, and we will make sure that there's a recording available for those parents that are not available to attend any of those sessions. So we have your back, Dr. Treadwell. Families, we want to hear from you if you have children who are not yet enrolled in kindergarten. The Indiana Department of Education has asked us to administer a family survey. This is to help them to understand what the enrollment will be looking like for preschoolers. There is a QR code here. This QR code is again for parents who have children that are not yet in kindergarten. And if you fill out this survey, you will be eligible for a $25 gift card. If you don't do QR codes, we are here to assist you. You can give a call to 219-881-5644. Again, that's 219-881-5644. Every face liaison in every building has this flyer. They have the QR code. They have the information, so you can contact your child's incoming school, community school that's nearby, if you would like to fill out this survey and have assistance by calling 219-881-5644. This survey is also on our website at GarySchools.org.
Thank you so much. There again, share with your neighbors and your friends. It will be helpful to us as beneficial also if we know how many scholars are planning to attend school. With that being said, I will close then with our draft agenda and highlighting Westside Leadership Academy. I believe that's something to do with our sportsmanship. Is that correct? Okay. Everything else on here, we kind of paused a little bit about some of the action items and information items that we will have. Some of it we will be looking to see what happens as we move forward with some of the House bill proposals. So we will set our agenda at a later date, and if any other changes need to be made with this year, we might be looking to do some things with the dates of meetings, but we will share with the community as we move forward. With that being said, I want to turn it back over to President Suggs.
Thank you, Dr. Stokes. We're at item number 11, adjournment. Entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. Moved and properly second. All in favor, say aye. Thank you for your attendance. Appreciate your engagement.